education on an issue is not enough, but actual praxis and action is something that needs to be encouraged as well.
Yep. Absolutely. Do mutual aid, folks. It's real easy to set up a community fridge, food network. It's real easy, and it feels good, man. Feels good, and it helps people. Most importantly, the Kevin FM, ladies, gentlemen, and MBs. Kevin, you wanted to shout out your channel and what you do before we let you go? We have Among Us later, which you are absolutely welcome to join us in. If you want to partake, everything's in the schedule that I shared in the group chat.
Yeah, I'll have to see based on how my house chores is doing.
There you
but go. Lovely party people. I am the Kevin FM, lawyer by day, streamer by night, and I am back after a short hiatus to rebrand and revamp the stream, which you can check out over at twitch.tv/thekevinfm. All one word. Thank you all so much for having me here. Wonderful people. And I hope that I get to chat with you again, Grim. It's always a good time.
Hell yeah, dude. We still got you on retainer. So anytime we need legal advice, you know we're going to hit you up. Folks, go give him a follow. Go, gift if you can. And we will have Kevin on possibly later for some gaming. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And farewell, wonderful party people in Grem's chat. Thank you all so much. And hey, thank you for the follow, Easy Pronouns Time.
There you
Wonderful. So I will catch y'all later.
All right, my guy. Thank you so much for coming on to talk to us.
No worries, boss.
All right, you have a good one, dude. Folks, the Kevin FM. What a wonderful lad. Beautiful fez. I've never seen an orange fez before, and I love to see it. Folks, again, we are doing a 24-hour charity stream for the Innocence Project. Let me go through some donos real quick. Endless Cemetery donated $20. Free Keith Davis Jr. Absolutely. Digital Bean donated $20. Revolt Rise and Come Gremlin donated $100. God damn. Mr. Braindead donated $10. Much love and all to all the people who are working on the Innocence Project. It's not something we should need, but I'm damn proud that the Innocence Project, that innocent people in prison and on death row have some advocacy. Absolutely. Nikela donating $13.12. Kev has an awesome hat. Yes, yes he does. For namesake, donating $20. Let's go. Paul Squall donating $50. Nikela donating an additional $20. ACAB, and of course Ross from Ross Publica donating 1,312 doll hairs. You love to see it, folks. You love to see communities coming together for some good shit. We are going to be talking to Endless Cemetery shortly. Ignoring chat, I see your DM. Give me a moment to read through it. I'm going to run a quick ad, not an actual ad. We're not running any real Twitch ads today. We're just running my personally curated one so that I can run to the bathroom when I need to. So yeah, if you want to if you feel so inclined to subscribe today, I would only ask that you donate equally to the charity stream prior. First and foremost, today is about raising money for Innocence Project, and secondly, it's about having fun, hanging out. Has anyone compiled a comprehensive list / graphic of companies that profit from U.S. prison labor? Cisco, the same company that makes food products. Sorry, I'm turning up my light here. Come here. There we go. The same company that does food for hospitals, public schools, nursing homes. Did I say hospitals? Is the same one that has contracts with prisons to just exclamation point donate in the chat, Jeremiah. So yeah, the same shit that we feed the elderly and kids, that's the same shit we feed prisoners. So yeah, Cisco, definitely a big one. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to run to the bathroom, and here's a little 60-second ad, folks. Hope you like it.
I'm so stupid. How's everybody doing?
No, you were going to raid in so quickly. Welcome back in. Becca's working on the kitchen today.
Real Richard, what's up?
You wanted to show them something?
Show them? Like,
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to show them something.
no. But I said I'll show myself.
Oh, show yourself. Oh, okay.
I'll show myself while...
Yeah.
So.
I was so upset this morning when I went into the kitchen to go make myself some coffee, and the coffee machine was on the floor, and I couldn't find the K-cups.
No.
Why didn't you call?
Because, I mean, I have the stuff there.
Like,
You don't think I'm
could
stupid?
have called and I could have told you exactly where I put everything.
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to make you coffee?
Tell wifey I said heyo. Mr. Braindead says heyo.
Heyo. Yeah, so next time we do a cooking stream, the kitchen will look...
Oh,
I saw that you got
guess
the
I
new
just said I'm
light
stupid.
switch cover in the bathroom.
I did.
Looks
I picked
good.
that up
Yeah. I
up
like it.
there.
Go Gert,
have
Grim,
self-deprecating
Starbucks.
humor.
Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe I'll run out later.
Yeah,
grab-
it's just a little late for that. She's working on stuff right now.
Yeah, I'm painting.
How'd the IRL stream go yesterday? Here, let me show you.
I'm about to bust.
Hey, Jeremiah on Twitch donated $42. Things out here move a bit slower. Don't give up hope, brothers. That's right. Things out here move a little bit slower.
Yeah. That's okay that you didn't get to hang out. By the time, like, you know,
Yo,
when the wind started
Terrence.
picking up, I started to feel like really, really bad. So we really didn't do
Thanks for
too
the
much
like.
after, like, we
For the
went
follow,
off,
rather.
because I was just starting to feel like really, really sick and really bad. So if y'all got off
What up, CJ?
early or whatever, you didn't miss too much.
Mods. If you see anybody in the Discord, like sitting in voice chat, make sure you check in on them, because I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Is that the wifey? This is my wife. My wife.
Yeah, I'm the wife.
Okay, yeah. So this is something that happened yesterday while we were at the aquarium. Fight! Destroy him! Oh! Oh god! Oh god! What a dick! What a dick!
Yeah, that toucan was an asshole.
Yeah, that toucan was.
Like
Art poison bet.
that poor little macaw bird was like, he was so like traumatized after that.
Yeah.
Like he walked into there's some doors like over here that lead to the
Yeah,
penguins.
like over here.
So like he kind of like ran into there for cover, and then like some people were trying to like
Scooch him
scoot him back
into
in,
the.
but like I felt so bad because he was already traumatized and already stressed out. I think
Yeah.
like them trying to get him back into his exhibit was like stressing him out more. So, and there was like no person around. Like,
Yeah, we were like, where are the attendants? What is happening?
so yeah, like that toucan was an asshole.
Yeah. Okay,
That's okay.
Endless, if you're still in here, feel free to hop in anytime.
I'm gonna go back to painting. Yeah, bird on bird violence for
Yeah.
real.
Fucked up, dude.
That bird on
behind
bird
you.
violence.
Right,
You hate to see it.
just close the door.
Hey.
What's up, dude?
Good to see you. God, I fucking love New Orleans.
You love New Orleans?
Yeah, my dad lived there for a couple of years, and I got to check it out a couple of times.
It's all right. I'm not in love with it, you know. But then again, I didn't grow up in New Orleans, so maybe
Yeah.
there's like a thing with that, you know.
I didn't grow up there either. I grew up in Baltimore, but there's just like that layer of grease and grime that I crave and I need whenever I go to a
Okay.
new city, and New Orleans definitely has that in spades.
It definitely does. New Orleans, when you're walking around, is sticky to the touch.
Yes.
Yeah. I did on our way back, and I wish I would have gotten a picture of it. There's work being done so that we have a commuter train between
Definitely
Baton
very
Rouge and
similar.
New Orleans. And for years we've been like, yeah, we hear you. Okay, yeah, sure. Fingers crossed. And on our way back yesterday, I saw the train. Like they were doing a test run of it. It was just like the main locomotive and like 4 passenger trains behind it. And the sound that came out of me, I cannot describe. It's like I fucking love public transportation and like infrastructure and like civil engineering shit like that.
Yeah, trains
So
are
seeing
awesome.
that, I was like, yes, fucking pog.
Yeah, the place where I grew up has like the oldest stone bridge for trains still in use. It's for CSX, but still, it's not like transit. It's for freight, but I almost love, like, I can't decide which I love more, like freight trains or passenger trains. They're both pretty poggers. But yeah, the Thomas Viaduct was built. I can't remember the precise year, but it was originally called Latrobe's Folly, and because they didn't think it was gonna work, but the guy who engineered it or designed it was like super thorough about it to the point where, like I said, they still use it to this day. It was one of the main forts that was defended against the Confederate Army here in Maryland during the Civil War.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it's I'm not sitting in front of Google right now. Thomas Viaduct. Yeah, it's in a relay. The place is called Relay because the original trains were drawn by horse, and you had to switch the horses out, and that was one of the spots where you could switch the horses out. Spans the Patapsco.
Drawn by horse.
Yeah. I'll shoot you this Wikipedia link.
Okay.
Because the park that the bridge goes over, it goes over the river in the Patapsco Valley, and I used to spend like all my time in that park. I just dropped the link in the Discord, but yeah, it was built between July 4th, 1833, and July 4th, 1835.
Gotcha.
So it's almost 200 years old, and it's still in use.
That's so crazy. I mean, I guess like the thing that frustrates me when I go to New Orleans is the entire industry, at least on East Bank, is built around tourism and like events for like Superdome and the Smoothie King Center, what was formerly the New Orleans Arena. So when I hear or read articles online about like, New Orleans is getting a $85 million infrastructure package, and then like 100% of that goes to new seats at the Superdome.
Oh
I
yeah,
get very
it's trash.
frustrated. Yeah. And everybody who, tries to rationalize that just says like, oh, well, football games bring tourism. Whenever the Saints, do well, it makes the city money. And I just don't know about that. Oh, hey, what's up, Johnny?
Johnny.
Endless. This is Johnny from Innocence Project.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Yeah. Are we early or are we right on time?
We're
Johnny,
about 10 minutes early.
You can just hit the little mute button, the little microphone, and that'll let you talk. I was actually surprised that no one had ever used Discord in the reps. Here, let me do this actually. Nope, not that.
Yeah, Gremloe is super fucking based. Gremloe is a comrade
Johnny,
for
if
sure.
you're having trouble with your audio or the camera, you may need to go into your user settings, which if you look in Discord, you'll see your little profile picture on the bottom left. There's a gear wheel. You'll just click on that and then go to voice and video. It's in the third column. And for your input device, that's going to be your microphone. Output device is whatever your speaker is. And then you can select your camera. So your dad was from New Orleans, you said?
No, my dad wasn't from New Orleans. He was my dad was working down there. When did he move down there? I think he moved down there in, I want to say like 2017, 2016, 2017. And he just recently moved out of there a year or two ago, like in the middle of the pandemic, which was kind of wild. But yeah, I went down there and checked it out a couple of times. There's a few different spots that I hit that I really love. They got a spot called Cosmic Comics where I build Gunpla. I'm a Gundam nerd, and they definitely fulfilled my fix from the time I was down there. The place called Parasol I was telling you about, it had really good gumbo. There's a spot my dad brought me to. I can't remember the name right now. I know as soon as we end, I'll forget it, but they had good jambalaya. Spot called Frankie's, and Frankie and Johnny's had super dank crawfish. I just love to eat.
Frankie and Johnny's really good.
Yeah, did you? Yeah,
I mean,
you tried it.
Like New Orleans, if nothing else, party scene, but also like
Food
the
scene.
dankest of food.
Yeah. I stopped drinking like 4 years ago, so I'm not a huge partier anymore, but I will fuck up some food ASAP.
Oh yeah. I think there's you get more utility and more enjoyment out of just like restaurant hopping than you do from bar hopping.
For sure. Because booze tastes the same everywhere you go. It's not really about the flavor. Unless you're going to like a microbrewery or something. But the food is definitely, Parkway Bakery has the best po' boys. Yeah, that's true.
I just don't like po' boys. It's a weird thing.
Really?
Like this is Endless Cemetery. Yeah, po' boys, at least traditional ones, have a particular bread that I do not like.
Oh, okay. I feel it.
Yeah, it's like very dry. It's like too flaky. I like a good whatever like
moist, like
Phillies
ciabatta
use.
or something.
Yeah, like something soft that's gonna really soak everything up.
Yeah, like a nice hoagie roll. I get it.
Yes. Johnny, let's see. Let me see if I can help you out here at all. So, let's see.
Real Wretched said Parkway Bakery makes their own bread. That's why they're the best.
What I am actually very surprised by with New Orleans
I saw that.
is what's that?
Nothing. It's not even important.
Oh, you talking about the screen cap that I had?
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted that in my Discord last night, being like, I have a stream in 8 hours. Let's see. I'm trying to help Johnny out by taking some screenshots of what he will need
Right on.
to do.
Parasol's roast beef po' boy. I never got the chance to try that. I just got their gumbo.
See, we've got a I don't know if this is like a national place, but we have a place called South of Phillies in our area, and it's just like Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, and there's something about a French dip that is just so good.
The Anjou. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's it. I've been trying to learn how to make Philly cheesesteak at home, and I think I've almost mastered it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm here in Maryland, so all I care about is crabs and shrimp and chicken.
Do you mess with lobster?
I actually have never really had lobster. People tell me it's good, but I've been picking crabs since I was 5 years old. So,
are you a leg or claw kind of guy?
I like back fin, so I guess that's technically leg, but the claw is definitely some good meat.
Yeah, because we do. We haven't done crab in a while, but we do crawfish, and everybody loves tail, but I love claw. There's something about
claws. Yeah,
where it's at.
Claw is delicious because it's got like there's a lot of the juice like from the boil in there. So you crack it, you get the meat, but then you get the Oh my goodness, I'm making myself hungry now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, somehow, my streams always end up just being food discussions. There's a common thing in restaurants around here. It's just crawfish fingers,
Okay.
which is where they take the meat out and like of the claw, and then they'll dip that in batter and fry it.
Ooh.
It's so good. So you just real quick.
Yeah,
Give me
that's
just a
delicious.
moment. I am going to. I'm going to give Johnny a call. And do you mind occupying chat while I do that?
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am the famous, or infamous, perhaps, Endless Cemetery. You may have heard about me recently. I do abolition talk. How the fuck am I? I'm doing well. I'm doing great. Napalm death, yes. My channel is just about abolition, black liberation, revolutionary thought. I established my platform as a safe space for black people, black revolutionaries, because there's not a whole lot of us on Twitch, honestly, and people who are sympathetic to that. I'm trying to build what Fred Hampton called the Rainbow Coalition. I enjoy content from people like Critical Ace Theory, Seductive Seaweed, Gremloe is obviously based. You know, I've just been paying attention to a lot of like queer people talking about gender issues, trans issues, and yeah, trying to build the Rainbow Coalition. No, so Magnus, the funny thing is, the reason why I even started mentioning the Innocence Project like that was because Gremloe had established this fundraiser's been we've been planning that, or he's been planning this. Shout out to Gremloe. Gremloe's been planning this fundraiser for like weeks, and so I just figured we're already going to be doing this today. I might as well get as many people to contribute as I can. You got the napalm death puzzles. That's funny. Class reductions and grippers hit. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm just like I'm like a black anarchist, straight up abolitionist, prison abolition, police abolition, gender abolition. Thank you for the follow, Level Head. I just, I believe poverty is violence, and that the floor of human experience should not be as nuts as it is, whether we're talking about people who live on the street but still work 3 jobs but live in a tent under a bridge, or people who are wrongfully in prison just so that the companies that profit off of prison labor's line can go up a few points, right? That's why I support things like the Innocence Project. A few weeks ago, I did a fundraiser for Baltimore Food Not Bombs. It wasn't a 24-hour stream. I don't have that kind of endurance. I did a 12-hour stream, but yeah, salute fucking Gremloe for that. Gremloe's a real comrade for that.
We are going to try and do this through Zoom.
Okay.
We're having a little bit of trouble. I'm going to message you a Zoom link.
Okay.
We're just gonna jump into that. Okay, so bear with me just a moment. I'll just
No problem.
end the call real quick.
Mutual aid streamers versus the panel / drama streamers. I mean, hey, if I had my way, the panel / drama streamers would also be mutual aid streamers. That's my goal. That was my goal when I first started doing this. Like, get some of these people who farm drama and have all these hundreds of thousands or whatever of views and follows to, if you got 20,000 of your drama followers to just send $1 to local Food Not Bombs, that would change their entire year. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that real wretched, and everyone does what they can where they can. You got to take care of yourself first and make sure you yourself are set up in a good position to even do any type of work. You know what I mean? Because it's not impossible, but Destiny lol w, that makes me a little nervous. But hi, how you doing? Welcome. All right, let me. No, I got to get in touch with him about Posada Bot.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Gallery view.
Is my audio working? Okay, yeah, it is. Cool. No, it is not. It is. All right.
Okay, I sent the link over to this. This is a pro stream, folks. Hey, Alex, thank you for donating $10. All the love and support. Thank you. Going. There we are.
There we are.
We're just waiting for.
There we go.
Let me see if I can. Hey,
There he is.
Mr. Johnny.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, let me see if I can fix my audio here. I think it's going through my. I think it's going through my headset. Fix that here.
Yeah.
Okay, could somebody say something real quick?
Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yep, there we are.
Awesome.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a representative from the Innocence Project on right now. Mr. Johnny, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the 53 people that are currently watching?
Morning, everyone. My name is Johnny Incapié. I'm an exoneree who was wrongfully convicted back in 1990 for the infamous Utah tourist case, where a family from Utah, a Mormon family, came to visit New York City to attend a U.S. tennis tournament. And one night they went out to go out to eat at a restaurant, and unfortunately, a small group of people that were trying to get inside a nightclub called Roseland didn't have enough money and decided to rob them. Their son was fatally stabbed in the subway. Many people were arrested, and I was arrested because one of the people that was involved in the crime knew me and just mentioned my name because they asked them they needed to know the name of the people that went out with them that night. So I was dragged out of my home, taken to the same exact police station that the Central Park Five were taken to, and I had the same leading detective from the Central Park Five. From the very beginning, there was enough evidence to prove my innocence. Many people had mentioned that I was not even at the scene of the crime, and unfortunately, I was tried with everyone that had actually committed the crime, and I was found guilty along with them and sentenced to 25 years to life. I didn't come out or wasn't exonerated until the 25th year of my sentence. I did the exact 25 years.
That's so
I
crazy.
came out when I was 43 years old, but everything took its time. It took a long time to prove my innocence, but it finally happened.
So, how did, or I guess when in that timeline did you get involved with Innocence Project?
As soon as I came home, the Innocence Project extended their open arms to me and basically embraced me. Barry Sheck was a consultant to my attorney, Ron Kuby, throughout my actual innocence hearing. They worked hand in hand to make sure that I was exonerated and found innocent. So I believe that the connection was always there when I came home. They reached out to me, and immediately I started just partnering with them, working with them, and they've been awesome. They've been awesome. They're my family, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think of a good way to kind of get into this. So, how was the? Could you maybe like walk us through the experience of like knowing that this is a wrongful conviction, going through the entirety? Maybe we can skip past the entirety of like the trial process and being convicted, but realizing that there was a avenue for you to actually be exonerated. Like, what was that process like for you?
Well, let me just point something out here. You know, it's sad that in this beautiful, powerful, great country that we live in, you know, wrongful convictions exist. You know, when you compare our country to other countries' systems, criminal justice systems, they're far worse than ours. But the only thing that makes ours worse is that we have a higher incarceration rate, which goes to show how there is so much overzealousness in trying to incarcerate people at a high alarming rate. And when it came to me, like I mentioned, my case, there was a lot of notoriety. My case was extremely publicized. Keep in mind, 1 year right after the Central Park 5 case, you have the Utah terrorist case in New York City. I was arrested and charged for felony murder and sentenced to 25 years to life at 18 years old. So having the evidence from the very beginning to show my innocence, and me not knowing what that evidence was, and trying to find someone to help me, because the people that helped me besides Barry Sheck and my attorney were two investigators that delved into my case to look for the evidence, which came about finding witnesses and other pieces of evidence that actually um, was so strong and so useful to show the judge how innocent I was, that eventually he exonerated me. But to answer your exact question, um, there is a multitude of people being wrongfully convicted in the United States at alarming rates that you know, it just shows that there's a huge demand for a criminal justice reform, whether it's New York City, whether it's Oregon, whether it's California, or especially Texas, which has the highest death penalty rate right now. You know, everybody in the country, the entire country, is uniting in order to try to seek the governor of Texas to stop the execution of Melissa Lucio, who was convicted of killing her child. And it was a crime that never occurred. It was a crime that the district attorney's office just simply made up. So this is information and awareness that constantly needs to be shared with so many people so they can be educated, because a lot of people feel that if it doesn't happen to me, if it doesn't happen to my own family or somebody that I don't know, then you know it doesn't. It's not important to me. You know, I don't need to
Right.
know about it. But it's happening to our next door neighbors. It's happening to people in our neighborhoods, and we just don't know about it. We just don't hear it because they don't share it. You know, there's a stigma. People get stigmatized by it. So it's sad, but it's real.
Yeah. There is a very hyper individualist mentality that we kind of have within our cultural upbringing in America. That, like you said, if it doesn't happen to me, if it doesn't affect me, then you know it's in the back of your mind or not at all. What is the best avenue that people who don't have family members who are either in the system or who are working within law enforcement, what's the advocacy route that you would like to see people participating more in?
Well, number one, I truly believe that there needs to be more education starting from our school districts. I think our children need to be educated on their rights. They need to be educated on our criminal justice system at a very, very early age. I think our education is very, very basic and it needs to change. So that's one avenue for adults. I think adults, just like we're so involved with so many social media platforms that we want to make ourselves so famous and popular on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. You know, we need to really look into what's taking place in our country. If we can allow regular media
Based.
to inform us about the attacks that Putin in Russia is having on Ukraine, then we should go out of our way to really find out, you know, if our criminal justice system is correct, if it's actually working. And according to the
Based.
government in our country, to them, there's nothing wrong with our criminal justice system. To them, everything is perfect. But in all reality, it's flawed. So we need people to actually educate themselves, to look for organizations like the Innocence Project or organizations in their state and city where they come from. And just, you know, if they don't want to actually be involved, they don't have to be involved, like trying to help out attorneys or work as a volunteer, but at least educate themselves so they can educate the people around them so they can actually realize what's happening, what's going on, and be more active that way and sign petitions and at least,
Based.
get involved with the movement in order to change this criminal justice system that has been flawed for so long.
Absolutely. Endless. Do you have any questions right now, or?
I'm just kind of listening to you all. Everything that he's saying is something I agree with, 1000% with the stuff that, and I'm sure you agree. I guess I would just ask, because you made reference to adults and for the people in the system, because we also have a really high rate of recidivism in this country. Do you think that the facilities in terms of people, even if they are convicted, they did the crime, they're doing their time, do we have really adequate facilities to rehabilitate people and, prepare them to come back into the outside world and reintegrate into society, or is that something that's kind of lacking too in your experience?
So, Endless, that's a great question. When I was incarcerated throughout my 25 years, basically, everyone that goes in there has two choices that they want to make throughout their sentence. Do they want to remain the same, or would they like to change? Do you want to be like everybody else that's in prison, or do you want to basically rehabilitate yourself? The problem is that because of the prison industrial complex, and for anybody that doesn't know what that is, we have places throughout the United States where there's counties that have a low economy and they don't have enough employment, so they bid for their local governments to build prisons in their county.
Hagerstown here is like that, where the one industry is the prison there.
Yeah, and by having a prison in your county, it brings up so much employment. Keep in mind, aside from the judges, district attorneys, and police officers, now all of a sudden you're creating employment for prison guards, correction officers, counselors, nurses, and it goes on, janitors, maintenance. But you have to fill in those bed cells. And how do you fill in those bed cells? You have to find a way in order to arrest people to fill them in so you can provide people with those jobs. So that's a prison industrial complex. And what connects the prison industrial complex is the mass incarceration process, So both of them go hand in hand. And when you have so many prisons throughout the United States, which there is a lot, right? Because there's always a high crime rate, if you live in a metropolitan city or urban area, especially like California, the incarceration rate is just skyrocketed and it's so overcrowded.
In Maryland here as well.
There is no real rehabilitation process. The programs that they offer in prison, I'll give you an example, like in New York, the programs that they offer for people being incarcerated from the ages of 16 to 24 are for them to take their GED. All right, especially more than likely, most of those people did not graduate from high school and they're functionally illiterate, so they offer them to take their GED classes. After they take their GED classes, they offer them some vocational training. Vocational training is good because if you want to learn how to trade, if you're not an academically inclined person, you should learn something about electricity, plumbing,
Absolutely.
and so forth. But the problem is that they only allow you to take these classes for about 4 to 6 months. So if you have a 25-year to life sentence, what do you do for the rest of your sentence if you were only allowed to take this vocational trade for 6 months? You don't learn anything. You can't apply it. You forget it. And to really changing your own behavior, to really changing your mentality as far as accountability, taking responsibility for the crime that you were convicted of. Prison guards don't go about that. There's a lot of hostility. There's a lot of violence in prison. So people, they're manipulative. They fight. They cut. They stab. And come on. And that's why you have a high recidivism rate, because there's not enough preparation in order to change them, to educate them. And they go back to only doing what they know best, committing crimes. They go back to the same neighborhoods where they came from, which is low, poor economic, high crime rate neighborhoods. So they're going to be introduced to the same type of criminal activity that they were introduced in the first place when they went to prison. But there is a small percentage of states that are offering higher education in prisons, and it's up to the correctional department, the Department of Corrections, to accept it and introduce it to their prison population. In New York, there is a program called Hudson Link that is in about 6 to 7 prison facilities. And New York has over 50 facilities, so it's not in every prison, but they offer associate, bachelor's degrees, and they allow people to educate themselves and to get involved within the prison facilities to facilitate classes. And when they come home, they help them get employment based on the degrees that they acquired. And I say that because no matter how many people are incarcerated, approximately, depending on the population of the state or the prison population, but again, using a New York an example, there's about 25 to 30,000 people that are incarcerated every year in New York State, and 20,000 of them are released every year. So, all you got to do, I tell people, you got to ask yourself one simple question. If you have somebody that was just recently released from prison, that was paroled, and he's your next door neighbor, and he lives right next to you, and you have a family, you have children. Now, who knows what he was convicted for? Homicide, sexual assault, rape, robbing, who knows what, right? But would you rather have someone living right next door to you that came home with an education, has rehabilitated himself for real, changed his whole mindset, or having someone living next to you that has no education and more than likely is going to be a part of that recidivism rate that you just mentioned about, endless? So education is extremely, extremely important. Unfortunately, the prison system has a design not to educate people in prison because they want that mass incarceration process to continue. They want that continuity. It's a money game, and unfortunately, it's not spoken about, and that's why we speak about criminal justice reform. But that's the truth.
I mean, what you're talking about reminds me of, so I'm in Louisiana, and we have like the highest incarceration rate in the country. And one of the things that we'll
Magnus.
often show people who don't know much about what it looks like in Louisiana is the governor's mansion.
Angola too.
Well, yeah, Angola rodeo, instead of like a work program that's based on, once people are out, getting them a job, getting them back into society and like working and like, whatever, we want to call it. It's basically just spectacle, that way, the community gets something that they can go watch and, hey, look, it's a bunch of prisoners. But the governor's mansion is straight up an old plantation home that is operated, maintained, and ran by prison labor, which harkens back to, Louisiana's not glorious past. Mr. Carlos, you just jumped in. We're having a conversation with Johnny here, and this is Endless Cemetery, who's also a streamer. Do you want to introduce yourself, and we'll kind of jump back into the conversation?
Yeah, my name is Carlos Sanchez. I did close to 25 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit and for a murder. I got a bachelor's degree through the Bard Prison Initiative, which is another college program in New York. But it's kind of the same as Hunts Link. It's a little different, but it's sort of in the same ballpark. I've been home next month. I'll make 5 years since I've been home. Little bit of a struggle trying to get my own employment, despite the fact that I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics. I've had jobs, but nothing that sticks. More of a like temporary contract where different things. Yeah, I think just on what I've heard you say so far with the plantations and this harkening back, I think I've never actually read the book, but I understand the argument. The 13th Amendment, I forget the name of the actual book that talks about the 13th Amendment.
Is it the new Jim Crow?
Actually, supposedly abolished slavery.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the actual text, it says
It didn't.
No slavery except for after the commission of a crime.
Right.
In that sense, all people who are in prison are, by that definition, slaves.
Yeah.
Right? And so this idea of having a governor's mansion run by prisoners is just an extension of that ideology.
Yeah.
Right? So the country, we say we got rid of slavery, but in reality, it's always been some kind of an underhanded idea of slavery. It still kind of persists.
Yeah, we went from lord and serf to master and slave, and now it's within our current dichotomy of the employer-employee. But those remnants, those echoes of the antebellum South are still very much. Carlos, where did you say you were at? I mean, if you don't mind saying, you don't have to, since we're live right now.
No, I'm in New York.
Okay, you're in New York. Yeah. So those things are still there, but they permeate throughout the entire system. It's not just that, oh, well, in this region of the country, we had this institution and, Civil War, Reconstruction, civil rights, and now we don't have that. And that doesn't exist anywhere else in the country, but it's everywhere. It's all over. These companies who profit off of making sure that there are bodies and beds in facilities, they're not localized. They're syndicated nationally.
Mm-hmm.
It's a corporation.
Right. And one of the things that I think,
we are in neo-feudalism, in my opinion, Mr. Braindead.
That the one thing that I believe college gives to people in general is two things: goal orientation and delayed
I feel it, Mr.
satisfaction.
Braindead.
Right? Because a lot of times, even out here, there's instant gratification. You want something, you do it, you want it now. Whereas when you're in college, it's like, all right, I'm taking the class, I have to write an essay, I have to take the time and then get the A, and then it's like that's just a building block in order to get the degree. Right? When you're doing some kind of vocational, you do that. Next thing you know, it's 4 months. Now you become bored, and it's like it's not a building block for something else. And so when you start practicing that mentality of I have this is I got the essay, I got the goal, but then I have to get to the class, then I get the class, but I need that class to fulfill this requirement so that I can get this associate, so I can get this, and then you start practicing goals in that sense, right? It's not, because not everyone is oriented towards higher education, right? Some people, it's like, I don't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to college. I got into it, and then I realized I liked it, and I continued. But some people, right, they're like, I don't want to go to college, but they're good at some type of vocation. My brother went to college. He would never go back to college. Now he has his business. He works on appliances, but his mindset is not higher education. That doesn't make you a bad person. But if you're going to do something like plumbing, electrician, then you have to create an environment where he's using that skill in order to build something so that he can get that goal-oriented practice.
Exactly.
Or when he goes home, he says, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. I did this in prison. Now I'm practicing it out there. Right?
Exactly.
Craziest thing, Johnny knows this too. The craziest thing is some of these vocational things, you come home and you can't even do it. How many people went into prison to learn how to cut hair, how to get the certificates for cutting hair, comes home, can't get a barber's license. You have a criminal record, you're not allowed.
Right.
So what was the point in getting the barber certificate, cutting hair, getting all this education, coming home, you can't be a barber? Why? And then you go into and then I can't do nothing with what I learned. Right?
Yeah.
It's like design. It seems like it's designed for this.
And then you can't find places to live because HOAs won't let you move into the neighborhoods and stuff.
Right.
By the way, how you doing, Carlos?
Hey, Johnny, what's going on? Johnny and I, we know each other.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
nice.
I was I didn't know if you guys were already like prior to this affiliated with one another, but
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We actually hung out.
Oh, that's cool.
Prior
That's cool.
years, before COVID.
Oh, perfect. You know, before time stopped and you know, all sense of you know time and where we are and you know who's the president now? I don't even know. I like what you're saying about education and like job preparation because later on in the stream we're going to be looking at a comparison between models and how a country like Finland or Norway does their education and their rehabilitation. It's a rehabilitation first model, and I don't think anyone can say that we have that in the U.S.
No, absolutely
It's
not.
not about rehabilitation. It's not about trying to take someone who, because of their material conditions or socioeconomic conditions, you know, fell into whatever the circumstance was or was wrongfully convicted, and trying to get them out and be a productive member of society. It's about punishment.
Yeah.
It's about this kind of revenge idea that we have, not only that is within our institutions, but within our like common mindset in America.
There's a man named Eddie. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, there's a man named Eddie Conway that I talk about a lot, and we study a lot on my platform. Who was he was one of the founders of the Baltimore Black Panther Party here, but was wrongfully convicted of murder back in like the 60s and 70s, and he was only exonerated after he was in jail for like 45 years. And one of the main things he talks about is the fact that all the things that we're talking about now, there was no avenue for rehabilitation. So the work that he did while he was in prison was establishing a library, you know, establishing vocational programs for people who wanted to learn a trade, organized a labor union while they were in prison, all these things that he had to do while also doing like peacemaking stuff, like what Johnny was saying. When you have people that come from those conditions and they're not taught to really do any better, you have to pull them aside and say, hey, don't stab this guy, don't fight. Maybe we can all work together to enrich ourselves, even though we're in this environment. And some of you guys might have a chance to have a future. So you're going to have to go back to your communities and build off of this. So, yeah.
Not only that, Endless, but another thing that's not constantly spoken about within the prison system is the drug addiction. You have many people that come from their communities with high drug addictions.
Absolutely.
And once they're in prison, most prisons throughout the country, they have these policies in place that you know, part of supposedly their so-called rehabilitation process, they offer these KSAT, ASAT, Alcoholic Anonymous programs in order to help them with their drug addictions. But guess what? If you have 15 years to life, if you have 20 years to life, if you have 25 years to life, according to their policy and procedures, you're not allowed to take any of these programs until you have 2 years before appearing in front of the parole board.
That's so
So
crazy.
basically, you have to wait 23 years throughout your incarceration in order to take these drug addiction programs that are going to help you with your drug addictions. So throughout the 23 years, you're going to be looking and scraping to use more drugs within the drug system, within the prison system. And most people, believe it or not, they get caught. So they add on to their disciplinary record, and when they go to the parole board doesn't release them.
And it goes into what you were talking about earlier too, with like the COs and stuff. A lot of them are selling drugs in prison, so it's not like the stuff is hard to find either.
Right. And I think some people would rather. There are people who would rather wait, right? Because I know, like, even in, so like, if you in the, for a long time when I first started, people were taking some of these programs, and then if they wound up taking drugs, getting a dirty U, and then they had to take it all over again, and then they had to take it all over again. So it's like you're taking these classes 4 or 5 times, right, throughout your bid, and this other person over here who's ready to go home can't take it because you're taking the spot. And so they're trying to figure out how to kind of streamline it, but the streamlining it isn't helping, right? Because if a person is taking it 3 or 4 times because he's getting caught 3 or 4 times, then it's obvious that he has a problem and he needs more help than this 3-month program of AA or KSAG. There's something else, and it's not being provided, right? But instead, they just try to streamline this in some way that doesn't help these people who have a true drug addiction.
Excuse me, Austin. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Carlos. I don't know if it's for Carlos' screen or for my screen, but it's something popping up saying remaining meeting time 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Zoom,
it's a free
Zoom
thing. I'm gonna fix it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get this all fixed up.
Okay.
So I mean, it's always a type of fix, because for me, I didn't take, they wanted me to take an anger management class, right? But because I felt like I'm innocent, I'm going to try to figure this out before I have to take this kind of thing. I didn't take it right away. And some people didn't want to take an anger management class, get into a fight, and then have to take it again, right? So,
Right.
But the fixes that the system makes isn't to help the individual deal with his problem. It's meant to streamline for the system rather than the people who need the help.
So
Yeah.
basically, Endless and Austin, what Carlos is saying is, like, in situations like for Carlos and myself, if you're convicted for a violent crime, especially like for a homicide, and in Carlos, in my situation, we're innocent, right?
Right.
Mandatory. They make us take an alternative to violence program. It's a mandatory program that you have to take before you appear in front of the parole board. So Carlos is saying, why should I take to this alternative to violence program if I've never been violent to begin with? Because I was wrongfully convicted. You know, that's the situation.
Okay, we should be good on time now. So to kind of circle back to where we branched off about rehabilitation over incarceration, The documentary we're going to watch later on talks about Finland and Norway's policies on rehabilitation first approaches. The example of Finland actually will show what their former prisons look like what these facilities look like, and they're just what American prisons are now. And they use them as a museum to show how they've progressed to where they are now. And in Norway's example, everyone who is, with exceptions, obviously,
I think the maximum sentence is like 21 years, right?
So it's 21 years, but there is like there's a cyclical review. I believe it's every like 5 to 7 years, where they say like, okay, like what's your progress looking like? How are you progressing within your education, your career focus? And then they'll take that into account along with the counselors that are at the facilities. And there's no COs. Everyone who is working at these facilities are counselors. They're there to help people first and try and, guide them through this process. They're not there to ensure that the punishment is as severe as it can be or to take advantage of these people. But in the example we'll see in this documentary is one person who was on, I believe it's a 22-year sentence or 21-year sentence for murder, who he's getting an IT degree. He leaves during the day to go to school, comes back, drives his own car, and is staying at this facility. And everything from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep is all centered around ensuring that whenever he is done with that, he is as good of a person or as prepared for, I should say, the outside world as possible. But he's not disconnected from the outside world. That's the main thing, this isolation policy that we have. The alienating effect that incarceration has on people, that doesn't exist for these rehabilitative programs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest hurdle in trying to do something like that here would be the societal outlook in the United States, because the I think an overarching idea from the general public tends to be, you killed my family member, why should we give you privileges like an education, like you killed somebody and who's never coming back, and now we're giving you something instead of taking something from you because you took it from me. Right? And there's that idea that sure, there should be some type of thing called accountability, but that doesn't mean crucifixion. Like that doesn't mean, right? And it's if your idea of justice is you took from me, I took from you, then like you said, there's no difference from justice and revenge.
Right.
And justice has to be where accountability comes with hand in hand with a way of, unless you're gonna kill the person or leave them in jail for the rest of their life, they're gonna come back to society.
Right.
And when they come back to society, they have to be a different person than when they went in.
Right.
Right. So the thing that United States has to comes to grapple with is, how are we going to define justice as a society?
Right. It has to focus more on restorative justice, where you guys come to an understanding. Right, or retributive justice.
But there has to be a change of mentality from you took from me, so now I have to take from you.
So we have a couple questions from our live chat right now, and one of them has to do directly with what you're talking about. So they ask, what ways, if any, can government incentivize the desired outcome of reduced recidivism instead of tax incentives for just existing? I don't know what that last part means. So I guess it's asking, so like, what are some policies, what are some ways that local and national governments can achieve those desired outcomes, if you have any perspective on that?
almost it to me it seems like I'm kind of hard pressed to figure out how government can do it. I think there has to be a more of a national discussion, and it's difficult because there's so many different realms under which from the movies that we tend to idolize, and the cop movies and the cop shows and all of that stuff that does, you know what, we we know this guy is guilty. Let's break the Constitution. Let's break his rights because he doesn't have so all that kind of language and that kind of all of that speaks to that ideology, right? I don't need a warrant. He's the rapist. He's the murderer. He's the this, and you always catch the bad guy by breaking the rules. But it doesn't matter because you got the bad guy.
Right.
Like that. All of that. All those stories that we tell in movies, in books, in cop shows, and all of that stuff has to change, right?
Right.
The news that does like, we caught the guy. Now the streets are safe.
Yeah, local media is really bad.
Definitely.
Right? Like, and I get it. What happens is that it gets scary. This guy that bombed and shot up the subway the other day. They caught him. Subway is safe. Really? Is it safe now? Right? The other thing is, right? When that guy got arrested during the Olympics in Atlanta so many years ago in the 90s.
96.
They caught him. They got him. Turns out, innocent. Wasn't him. But the news focused on we got him. Instead of the cops might, right? That language, we got him. He's did this. All of that has to change.
Right.
Right? And once the society changes in that, the government is just going to do what the people want. It's harder to get the government to change mentalities. Right?
Yeah, there's a value set.
I think in some ways, the what is it? You said Norway?
Yeah, Norway and Finland.
In Finland, that society sees those people who are arrested as they're still ours. They're still our brethren. They're still our people. Whereas the country is so divided where certain white people are saying, no, those are black people. They're not my people. They're those people. And some black people says, no, those are the criminals. Those are those people. They're not my people. And so when you have that kind of framework for the criminals, for the people who commit crimes, that it's those people. And if you got arrested, he's part of those people, not, well, maybe he's innocent.
Right.
Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe the cops are wrong. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and to add on to what you're saying and give another example of how the value sets can be different and are. Germany has a policy for prison escapees that being incarcerated, being held against your will is a natural condition to want to escape that.
Right.
So if you escape, they don't charge you for that. They charge you for the prison clothes that you have that you technically stole, but it's not like you're getting charged extra for escaping prison. They understand that there's a human element to this, or an inhuman element to this, that escaping is a natural want and need.
If I could also just add to that too, before we even get there, I think there needs to be just more social programs for children and teenagers and people to have stuff to do besides, not even just like entertainment stuff, but also more funding and have a more robust education system, because the antithesis to crime is education, right? So
yeah, community programs.
Yep.
Mr. Rodney, you're just joining us. Welcome on in. Do you want to introduce yourself to our panel here and the live chat?
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Rodney Roberts, as he said. I spent 18 years wrongfully incarcerated, convicted in New Jersey State Prison, Broadway. I was exonerated after 18 years in 2014. And since my release, I've been working tirelessly behind the scenes, in front of the scenes to advocate more awareness against wrongful conviction, prosecutorial misconduct, ineffective assistance of counsel, and false plea agreements, coerced plea agreements. I've been working closely with the Innocent Project, who has been very helpful in my reentry and throughout the time in 8 years. And as a result of working with them and getting the resources I need, they've hired me recently as the new reentry coach for the Innocent Project for the social work department.
Yeah, Wither
So,
King. Shout out to
Well,
Wither King.
perfect, because we're currently talking about re-entry and rehabilitation. And Johnny, we've kind of been talking a little bit. If you have anything to add as well, but broadly speaking, for any of the guests right now, rehabilitation over strictly incarceration, right? We talk about this on our stream here. That rehabilitation, while we always have that first approach, starts with accountability. Not just for the person who's incarcerated, but the structures at large that bring about things like criminality, which we come from a kind of leftist perspective. So things that bring about criminality, we would always say is poverty first, your socioeconomic conditions. So if there is any kind of policy during someone's incarceration that we can think of for rehabilitative programs, what's something that we might bring forward if you're let's say you're at the legislative table, okay? You have a say in, what kind of policies that we want to see. What's something that comes to mind?
What's going on, Rodney? How you doing? If I was at the legislative table, I would say, first of all, from a criminal justice system point of view, I would have to say death penalty cases. Death penalty needs to change throughout the United States. There's so many people being executed for the death penalty, and we later come to find out they were actually innocent.
It's more than 4%.
Yeah.
There's not enough investigations going into these death penalty cases unless organizations like the Innocence Project, comes forward to represent these cases. But just imagine those cases that are not being represented by the Innocence Project, okay, that are actually being executed, and then again we come to find out they were innocent. It's sad. It's very sad. Another situation where I would say to show and prove and support the innocence of anyone that was wrongfully convicted for DNA-related cases in the United States, you have to ask permission to have your DNA taken and in order to be evaluated to see if there's any connection to your case. And a lot of prisons nowadays, they're taking people's DNAs, right? But they're not utilizing it in order to see if they were connected to that crime or not. The DA themselves denies the approval process to have their DNA tested. Probably they have tested it on their own and they never mention it to the court. But just the fact that you have to request it and get permission, for me, is mind-boggling. It's ridiculous. How many people are sitting innocent in prison requesting to get their DNA taken, and they're serving an additional 10, 15 years or so before they actually get to prove their innocence. It's ridiculous.
And even from like a profit motive perspective, it's more cost effective to just do DNA testing for these kinds of cases than it is to prolong it with cases.
Yeah, absolutely, all day long. I think we live in a capitalistic society. Everything revolves around money. There's a saying that goes, economics dictates politics. So depending on how the economy is flowing in our country, is going to stir the results of our politics through our country.
Absolutely.
And I say this because when you speak about Norway, when you speak about Finland, there's a different culture that's taking place over there. Racism exists throughout the whole world, but I don't think they have racism the way you would see racism in the United States.
Right.
Right? I don't see oppression the way you see oppression in the United States. I don't see crimes at a level where you see crimes here in the United States due to capitalism. It's a design. Let's be real about this. Let's talk about this. It's a design to keep blacks and Latinos or minorities at the lowest level of society in the United States, to make sure they don't have the best employment jobs, to make sure that they keep the prison systems at a high rate of incarceration, and so forth. There's so much money that's being flooded outside of the United States to China in order to manufacture goods here, in order to rebuild certain countries after wars destroy them, right? And yet we don't flood our own country with the same type of money to end homelessness, to end drug addiction, to end our crime, to improve the school districts. Do you know that in most of the states throughout the country, right, they provide at least 25% of funding, all right, to the worst school districts in that state, and yet 75% goes to the best school districts with the most wealthiest neighborhoods. It's a design to show you who they want to really be educated and who they don't want to be educated, who's going to succeed in our country and who's not going to succeed in our country. Those minorities in our country that do go to get to Harvard, that do get scholarships, kudos to them. They pass. They look for ways to pass those boundaries. But the ones that do make it, unfortunately, they're making it off a sports scholarship. It was a different type of situation. But we have the economic function in order to change our situation here in the United States, so there won't be that many injustices. So we won't have this mass incarceration rate, but we just don't do it. It's sad. I mean, we have more African Americans in prisons than there are African Americans in Africa.
And that's by design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's by design.
When we talk on the subject and we look at it historically, and we look at the changing country during the 13th Amendment and the enactment of the 13th and 14th Amendment, we see that the abolishment of slavery had that contingency in it that allowed the states to, once you're duly convicted, to now reduce you to the status of a slave. So now that was just a modern day way of slavery. And then as time progressed, you found this country during those times in the 1800s creating laws like the Black Code and the Jim Crow laws that directly affected the Black community to increase incarceration. So now you had these laws, these codes during the 1800s, and they have found a new source of cheap labor. They found the same source of slavery, but in a different, more industrial fashion. So the country progressed in that way. So when we look at mass incarceration and that the most and largest number of incarceration are African Americans and Latinos, we look at it from that historical perspective that this was all places designed to have this form of industrialization, where we are a country that has the largest incarceration rate anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Over 200 million, and over 2 million, and that's a ridiculous number. That's a sad number in face with what we're dealing with racism, all that which came about the enactment of the 13th Amendment. So we look at it now from a historical point, and we can't never take our eye off how this industrialization has affected us as a country. So at that point, I also wanted to add on to what you was talking about as far as the death penalty earlier, and which is a very important point and a very serious matter. And when you have an issue with there's a possibility or multiple possibilities in your state that if you executed the wrong person, or there's a potential that you executed the wrong person, there should be a fight in that state for some type of moratorium, some type of freeze on the death penalty. Like in New Jersey, they had a moratorium, and then they set up the committee and necessary forces to challenge the validity of the death penalty, and it was abolished in the state. So that's the fight that has to take on, because death penalty first has to be stopped, because now you have the idea that you're killing and you're murdering the wrong person. And if there's a chance that the wrong person is sitting on death row waiting, because that's a torture too, just sitting there 20,
Oh
30
yeah.
years. I met guys
Oh
who've
yeah.
been on for 25 years, 30 years on death row, waiting for somebody to kill them for something they didn't do. I mean, I'm a exoneree, and that for me is like double whammy. That's like you innocent and they trying to wait to kill you. And so that's an issue that really has to take place. And I'm proud of the Innocent Project for how vigilant they are when it comes to death penalty cases, and and seeing as a member of the staff the compassion and the hard work that goes into helping death penalty cases and making the people in public more aware and providing resources is phenomenal to me. It's moving to me, and so when you look at everything, those are the topics that really spark with me, and really I think we should look at more as a society and address more, even as as we progress.
Yeah. I was hesitant to use the C word, capitalism, but I would add on to what the sentiments that you're echoing right now, that the system of capitalism necessitates that there is an underclass, a permanent
Right.
underclass that
Mm-hmm.
stays in that position, because that's
Right.
how you drive profit through prison labor and et cetera, et cetera. And since we already had an underclass, and white guy talking about this too, by the way, since we already had a permanent underclass, the logical progression of it was that it would just be moved from one institution to another. You can continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when slavery was first, convict leasing is what made slavery as gross and as ugly. Like, slavery was always a gross and ugly institution, but originally, if you were like, if you owned a farm or whatever and you had slaves, slaves were expensive, so it would behoove you to feed them properly, clothe them properly, all that stuff. But then when convict leasing came along, that's literally when we were on Django time, right? Where they're cheap, we just work them to death, and then when they die, hit them in the head, throw them in a hole, get another one, right? And it's just a continuation of that type of mindset, of the capitalist mindset, where humans are commodities, right? And in that sense, human life has a dollar value, right? And so that's where you really, because no matter where you fall on the socioeconomic scale, that should be gross to you. The fact that either because you are considered a low value human being, or if you are a quote unquote high value human being, the fact that your value is dependent on the fact that there are low value human beings, so.
Right. I think in some ways, right, like if you look at capitalism, um, in the sense that the way it was set up, it's set up in as you said, hierarchy, in order for you to be able to this, so the talking point of merit based, so you can be here at the low and then climb, so you have an incentive to climb, an incentive to get better. But they set up this supposed merit hierarchy in a way that always creates stumbling blocks, so that you never, only certain kinds of people reach the top, right? And in some ways it's like they invest the money, right? The people at the top invest all this money, even in the government, with their donations and invest only if they think they can get a profit out of it. And so investing into these poor cities, whether they're, and to me it's like investing in these poor cities, whether or not it's black, Latino, white, right? They're not going to invest because they say if we invest in this, it's not an investment, it's a loss, because we're not going to profit from it.
Right.
The difference between why they won't invest in the poor neighborhoods of color versus the white poor neighborhoods might be a little different. there's racism in this, not racism in that. But it's still like,
Still
why are we
capitalism.
going to invest this money when we're not going to get anything back?
It's the intersection of class and race.
Right.
Right.
We're not going to get our money back. We're not going to multiply our money. This is a loss. Whereas if you have a different kind of a compassionate idea of capitalism, but like, we're not investing this money to get money back.
We're enriching
investing this
society.
money to raise a better society so that the society is better. To hell if I lose money, right? But that's not, it's always profit motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get a profit by building a better school.
Yeah. And these
profit,
systems.
We're not.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the mentality. I don't care if those, right? Again, it's always those people get property and get money, and I don't care if they do it. I only care if I get my money. If I double my money.
Understand?
All that so that in that sense, it's, to me, it's not whether or not capitalism is bad. It's how you if your capitalism is only profit based, then you don't care about people.
You understood? That's understood.
Right? Now, as far as like something as far as the prison system that I think would probably help, because I look sometimes back at my life and how I lived my life in prison and then my reentry, and I'm trying to get out of this habit that I formed, right? I formed a habit of living, like, there's that idea of living day to day, but I took it to surviving day to day. So I made no plans for tomorrow.
Right.
Because I have to survive today. Right? And I come home and I get into that habit of I'm still surviving today. And so I had no plan. When I came home, it says, I did it this way in prison. I'm gonna do it this, I'll figure it out when I get there. And I had no plan. And so here I am 5 years and I'm stumbling through it. I'm kind of like working for 3 months, working for 6 months, working for a year, then not working for another 3 months, 4 months, and doing all of that stuff. I had no plan. I had no goals set up.
Right.
And to me, it's like some people by nature are this way, and they go into prison, they figure it out, they get to a point, they start making goals. And I know a guy who went to prison at 19, and because his mentality was right, and he was guilty, he was part of that whole crime, right? But he had a different mentality than his co-defendant. He actually came to prison and said, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. When he came home, he already had his, I'm going here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? Right now, he moved to Florida, he has a house, he has a wife, he has some kids, he has, like, you had this goal and you had it planned out. Whereas most people in prison go into prison, they have no plans. Because how do you plan for prison, right?
Yeah.
So some people will do it because that's their personality, and most people will not. So at the very least, if you have a system set up where it says, and maybe it's periodic, maybe it says, all right, let's set up a plan how you're going to do these next 10 years and what you're going to do afterwards, right? And maybe that plan changes in the next 5 years, 10 years, things change. So you kind of do periodic mapping, goal mapping, or some type of thing, so that when you get to the point where you're getting out, you have a game plan. Even I understand that sometimes you plan for something, shit happens, but at least if you have the plan, then you can say, well, that didn't go to plan. Why did it not? You have a framework.
Or division.
Right.
You make a plan and not have a concrete plan, but you have the vision. Like you see yourself, you see your potential, you know what drives you. And you're motivated by the idealism of yourself and what you were willing to contribute and what you're willing to adjust to and how you want to deal with things emotionally and psychologically. And so there, sometimes you have your plan because there's no way to set a concrete plan when you really don't know what you're up against in society because the changes have happened. There's so much culture shock and reverse culture shock you have to deal with. So there's no way to adjust for that. But you have to have the drive, the vision of being able to adapt and being able to see things for what they are and modernization of yourself and be progressive and with ideas and associate yourself with progressive people and think in your support system and be encouraged by progressive movements and so that moves you forward. And on the topic of you talking about capitalism and how it began, and how you were associating it with to build a society and capitalism is free laissez-faire, free enterprise. It is that amount is that how it's approached it. This is how I'm gonna approach this with money-based idea, and the government has set these rules and regulations, but I'm gonna be able to still flourish under this free enterprise mindset. And what goes into that is the economics of it. And so, when we look at economics, it's broke down into three compartments: manufacturing, distribution, and consumption. And so we look at certain communities and we ask ourselves what community or segment of people are manufacturing and distribution, distributing. And we see that blacks and Latinos are at the lower scale of that, of the manufacturing distribution, and make up the larger scale of consumption.
Right.
So we are the consumers of this country in that way. And that power scale and that arrangement has not changed in over 400 years, where we make up that component of the economy. And so that has to be that status quo, that building block has to be maintained. And that's the struggle to change those perspectives in people. When you talk about rebuilding the community, you're right about they're throwing the community and the idea that hey, build the school in this community so you can increase the value of the population. And I've seen that in certain communities they choose between a hospital, a prison, and a school to build because each one generate jobs within the community. And they do in New Jersey, most in rural areas. That's how the prison Southwood State Prison got built in a rural area. The economy was bad, and they wanted to put something there to jumpstart the economy in that region. So they built a prison, where they could have built a hospital or a school, which would have done the same thing, create jobs. So that's the mindset. And then once this is done, there's never like a charity, but I'm doing this from the heart. It's always about money because now the very people who help with the investment of building the prison have all the contracts to facilitate the prison, from the toilet paper down to the spoons that you eat with, down to the sheets on your bed, the shoes on your feet, the coat on your back. The everything is controlled by those who have facilitated. So they have at their advantage cheap labor, but they don't have to pay for labor, maybe $1.20 a day, and they can get contracts like at Southfield State Prison, where they have a whole trucking unit there. All the license plates in New Jersey are made at Leesburg State Prison. The majority of the signs you see on the highway are made at Rawway State Prison. Some of the best furniture you see in people's stores was made at Boardtown Youth Facility. So they had all this mechanisms in play to facilitate just building an environment. So yes, they're building a community, but also they're lining their pockets where they have debt pool, where they run the commissary. You know what I'm saying? So, and those things keep the machine moving in different directions. On that subject of building in the community, it's always about money with the situation. And so, it's always
Austin, real quick, just to chime in.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be honest. I mean, when I mention capitalism, it's the way of the world right now. It's the way the world moves. You know? And you have and basically everybody loves it. You know, people profit from it. You know, the problem is what like Rodney said is there are some mechanisms in this country. You have certain companies, certain people. How do they profit from it, right? At whose expense do they profit from it? You know, and because we have this problem with our criminal justice system, with wrongful convictions, okay? There's enough money that's going around that's not being allocated or funded in the right places, in the right programs. This is why I spoke about earlier the necessity to educate people about the injustices that are taking place in our country. We need people to come forward to actually uh, consider, to look into, and understand what's happening, okay? And see, you know what? It's worth it to donate to these changes for a positive change because people are actually spending money recklessly on things that have no importance in life. Okay, and yes, they can do it. They can do it. They can do whatever they want with their money, and if it makes them happy, fine, let it be so. But if you really, really care about our country, if you really care about the people that we live next to, right? It's worth making this investment in order to make these changes to change our criminal justice system. You know, we need more fundraisers, we need more donations, we need more education, we need more awareness. You know, unfortunately, life is not perfect just because there are people that have lived a pitch perfect life. There are other people that are not living that lifestyle, you know. And again, I go back, it just because it hasn't happened to you, it doesn't mean that it's not happening at all.
Yeah.
Well, to again echo your sentiments, folks, just within 3 hours, we've raised over $1,600
Okay.
in this
Nice.
24-hour charity. So I don't want to take up too much of your gentlemen's times today, and I cannot express enough how much I appreciate you guys coming on and talking to us. We spoke earlier a little bit before this call about hopium, we call it, revolutionary optimism, not falling for the doom pill, as they call it online. I like to end my chats with whoever it is with a little bit of hopium. So as we kind of go around, if you have anything that you're doing within your personal life, if you have social media that you're working on, projects with that you'd like to shout out, or any kind of things that you're doing that you want people to maybe help out with online, definitely shout those out. Let's go ahead and start with Mr. Carlos.
Well, I'm not really doing anything online right now, but what I do want to I will say that recently I just ended a 4-month internship at a place called Shepherd Therapeutics, where they're trying to come at cancer research from a different angle than most other cancer research. So they're trying to figure out a niche for themselves. The majority of cancer research that's being done is on common cancers, simply because there's a lot of data with common cancers, right? A lot of data that you can collect and do data analysis on. However, 1/3 of all cancer diagnosis is considered rare cancers. So this person has a rare cancer, this person has a rare cancer. Their cancers aren't the same, but you know what? 1/3 of cancer is rare cancer. Each one has rare cancer. So you know what? Rare cancer is not rare if it's 1/3 of the cancer.
Right.
Right? So that's their slogan. Rare cancer is not rare. Right? So the idea is, how do we get, because it's like, I have a rare cancer, but there's no data to help you because we don't have enough data surrounding your cancer, and we can't expend the money on data that there's not a lot of stuff to do. So their focus is on, perhaps because one woman had her rare cancer, and because she had the resources and she was in the medical field, she got her cancer's DNA sequenced, found that her rare cancer had similarities to this different kind of cancer that's not rare, it's common. She figured, can that medication help my rare cancer? And she went into remission.
Very nice.
So the idea
Wow.
is, can we reappropriate medication from all these other cancers to, right? But you got to do the data on it. You got to run the data on that kind of stuff. So I have a math degree background, right? I started taking some coding classes, and I started taking some data analysis classes. So as far as like my new my 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 initiative to try to continue into getting goal oriented has led me to apply to Columbia's Bridge to PhD in order to do systems and computational biology and try to get a PhD in that.
Very nice.
I got an email last week that this week coming up, we will get an email to tell us if we get to the next stage interview process. And then if I get the interview and then if I get accepted in May, I start in August to try to get a PhD computational and systems biology, because I think it's a good realm to kind of look into, try to cure people physically in a way that that is meaningful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you're a science guy, every Thursday we do a show called Ministry of Science. We have a bunch of academics come on and we talk about a variety of things. We have molecular biologists, geneticists, PhD candidates in biology. You would probably enjoy that. Mr. Rodney, do you want to have any closing statements? Give us a little hope. You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted. You gotta. Oh.
There you go.
I gotta say all that shit, some of my best stuff too. No, but yes, I mean, I believe a little hopium. I like that. So I really, that's what it is with me. Is right now I'm just living out the blessing of working with the Innocence Project and just looking forward to being a part of the staff to continue to help promote wrongful fights against wrongful convictions and the reentry. So my goal with the social work department and my job responsibility mainly is to try to link up all those exonerees with the resources they need to successfully reenter in a justice society after long periods of false incarceration. So I plan to do much more of that on a larger scale with more resources and bigger support team, and continue to march forward in that way. And one of my personal goals, and I'm really working on this, I want to create a 24-hour hotline service for exonerees that they could call in anytime they feel like they want to talk to somebody, they feeling alone or something, any reason. I want to have that where they never feel alone, and so have to create a 24-hour hotline and create a network of exonerees who will help facilitate that hotline that they could be available. So when someone calls them and just want to talk about maybe stressing or going through some adjustment issue, they can have someone to reach out to that understands. And so that's one of my personal ideas and one of my desires to see, as an exoneree, to just have that in place. And with the Innocent Project and working with the social department and help I've been given and blessed with, I can see us doing that and see us accomplishing that. So
That's amazing.
That's it right there. So, and thank you.
No,
Thank you.
Mr. Johnny, want to close us out? It looks like you're super busy with your family.
Yeah. Let me just say thank you for having me on your show. It was endless. It was great being with you guys, with Carlos, with Rodney, and for all the listeners and everybody that has partaken in listening in what's taken place this morning thus far. I think that it's very, very important, as always. We must raise awareness on the ongoing problems and situations that's taking place in our country, especially when it comes to wrongful convictions, the injustices, mass incarceration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's not enough that can be mentioned when it comes to these subjects here. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. We need more people getting involved. We need more donations. We need more fundraisers. I mean, there's a lot of lives that need to be saved. You know, I
Right.
tell people all the time, if you know, for me, one of my things that I say is that making a difference matters. And if we can go to save one person's lives, you know, we're saving a lot of people's lives because it all starts with one. You know, I go around advocating on behalf of many people that I try to help out to work and getting people out of prison. I get people writing me on my Instagram, on my DM on a weekly basis, asking me, hey, can you help my father? Can you help my son? Can you help my brother? And I try to do the best that I can. I connect them to different people, different law firms, sometimes to the Innocence Project, depending on what state they're in. So if you know someone that needs help, feel free to reach me or feel free to reach the Innocence Project. You know, I can possibly direct you or give you information on how to get involved or how to go about in receiving these type of assistance. But more so, I would tell you, don't give up.
Mm.
Don't give up. You
Mm.
know, there's many people fighting. There's
Right.
many people in your corner. There's many people that are supporting each and every one of you, whether you're black, Latino, white, Asian. It doesn't make a difference. It's affecting all of us here. It's happening to everybody, regardless what state you're in. More states than in others, more people and more races than others, but it's happening. The cause and the problem is real, but don't give up. Hang in there. You know, there were many times I used to wake up in prison and I wanted to give up. I used to ask myself, was this the day that I was going to give up? And I tell you, I'm glad that I didn't, because I'm here talking to each and every one of you and I'm sharing
Amen.
my story, you know,
Amen.
and our stories matter. Our stories make a difference, and people need to listen to our stories. So thank you for each and every one of you having us here and having the patience to listen to our ideas, what we had to say, what we conveyed, what we were sharing with. But don't give up at the end of the day. If you want to reach out to me, my Instagram is it's Johnny H72. You feel free to reach out to me there. I usually respond immediately the majority of the times. But you know, donate if you can donate to this show here that Austin has. Whatever Endless is doing, whatever Rodney's doing, whatever Carlos is doing, whatever the Innocence Project is doing, so show your support to these people, show your support to these programs. These people need help. They're doing a good thing. They're doing a positive cause, you know, and everybody just like us, man, that belongs or that is involved with programs like this, man. It takes a movement of people to make change. You know, it takes that support system. So I'm beseeching, I'm imploring each and every one of your support everybody here. Show your love, show your interest, show everybody that you make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Endless, do you want to shout yourself out or give any thoughts as we are closing this off?
Just thank you for having me here and having the opportunity to speak to these gentlemen. All their stories matter. Just like Johnny was saying, the most important thing that we have to remember is that we're all in this together, and if we work together, we can move the needle. I want to throw out there free Keith Davis Jr. because he is wrongfully convicted and he's in prison right now for a crime he did not commit, and his family and his community miss him and they need to send him home. And you know, I think a lot about Huey Newton's revolutionary suicide, where he says that the society in America will drive you. It is looking to destroy you, and you can fall into despair, and you can allow that to happen, or you can meet that fate head on, and work with your community, work with the people around you. To if that fate is inevitable, why not at least do something to try to make a change in someone's life? Because in the end, that's all that really matters.
Mm.
Hell
Nice.
yeah. I
Nice.
love it. Folks, I feel like we brought the hopium, that we brought some optimism and some light into this. It can be, it's like staring into the abyss sometimes when we're looking at these things. But I think when we come together and we are open and honest with each other, that's whenever good shit happens. And I'm gonna let you guys know if you want to share it within your groups. This conversation, if you're okay with it, pending your permission, we can post this as a video, and you can share it within your networks because if these conversations are important. And just as a little extra hopium, just in that little bit of the end there, we crossed over $1,700. So look at
Nice.
that. That's the difference between somebody staying wrongfully incarcerated and getting back to their families.
That's right. Amen.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so incredibly much for lending your voices today. Greatly appreciate it and all the work that you do. All of you have my number and my email. If ever you want to reach out to me for anything at all, if you need help for this kind of stuff or like computer internet stuff, trying to reach out to people, drop me a line. I'm always open.
Amen. And take care. I hope everyone donate and support this conversation and idealism. So
hell yeah. And for those of you who celebrate, happy Easter and Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you so much again. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Endless, if you want to drop into Discord and just have a brief chat to, cap this off, and then we'll be good.
For sure.
Right. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye. You too.
All right, where's Remy? There we go. I just joined his, there we go. Howdy.
Hang on one second, let me get this back where it's supposed to be.
Tearing up with this man, Johnny, talking at the end.
Choking up. I didn't expect to, I watched the Innocence Project promo video earlier and started choking up, and immediately, like, whenever he started talking, I was like, fuck.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. It's humanizing, and like to feel that is nothing quite like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what were your thoughts after that convo?
Just kind of, you know me and my platform, they were saying all the same things that I talk about all the time, and it was good to talk to people who actually live in that experience and were able to share that. And I'm glad that, if they wanted to share their voices, that their voices were heard. For the people in your chat, I'm sure that they'll benefit from that, and people in my chat as well. And just like they were saying, if you can't volunteer your time or energy, if you can't send money or send funds, you can't donate, then just tell someone, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
I'm just glad that we can be a part of, with this whole Twitch platform and stuff, we can be a part of a generation of people that are trying to use this platform effectively to maybe organize, or at least, at the very least, just raise awareness and do things like this. So that was kind of my feel.
Yeah, use the systems of capitalism against it.
Right.
Yeah. No, man, it was awesome, and I'm really glad that you were able to stop by.
Thanks again. That was because that was amazing. I really appreciate you for having me on there.
Dude, funny enough is like I had like scheduled them to. I think Carlos and Johnny were kind of double booked for the time slots, and Rodney, I don't think we actually got a solid time. But it all just kind of like it happened at once. It was a little rough there in the beginning because Zoom.
Right.
I was very surprised that they didn't know what Discord was. I think that kind of shows like how hyper online I am.
I was gonna say because I call myself a boomer because I still am learning how to even use this whole platform of Discord. But yeah.
Yeah, but no, dude, it was great. There's moments, and we're gonna go through donations in just a second, guys. We got almost $100 just within the last couple minutes. It's crazy.
Nice.
It seems like there are a lot of people who either through their circumstance or interest are kind of disconnected from a lot of the, I'm talking about leftists here, are disconnected from the actual like conditions that we talk about.
Right.
So when you're able to actually give voice or give a bullhorn to the kinds of issues that we're actually talking about, I think that's where actual like hearts and minds are changed, and
Absolutely.
real action is done.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna, be a little self-masturbatory here, but yeah. No, it's awesome, man, and I'm happy to share it with everyone who's involved. It's it takes a village, as they say.
Right.
So again, thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you. I'm gonna run, but if you're doing Among Us later, I might join you for that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna message you for like right before we get started with that. Even if you come in like later on in it, that's totally cool.
Right on.
Do you play Elden Ring?
I do. I have Elden Ring. I have it on PS4 though.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
You playing it on PC?
After midnight tonight, we're going to be doing Elden Ring versus chat, and a couple
Okay.
other streamers are going to come on, and we're just going to do like PvP.
I
and
just got
see
paid.
who I can destroy.
I just got paid. I might be able to finesse a copy
Nah,
for my.
dude, don't spend your money if you don't have to.
It's people have been begging me to play it on PC with them too, and this always happens where I get a game on a system and then people are like, "Oh, I have it on this one," and I end up having to buy like 2 or 3 copies of the same game. So I've always accepted it as an inevitability. But
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do cross-platform. They should have just done it.
yeah,
So stupid. Also, Berserk egg thing.
Yes.
It's so incredibly cool.
Yes.
I went to go get ramen with my wife for our anniversary, and we always stop at Barnes & Noble, and they had the entirety of the hardback Berserk manga collection, and I thought about dropping
Nice.
$3 on it.
Oof, the omnibus, it's tempting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got your Eggy boy. If you want to DM me like an address or something, I can send that to you.
Yeah, I'll send you the deets because it's super cool. I'm gonna hang it like right on my my thing back here so everybody can see it.
Nice.
All right, man. Well, yeah, I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna get back to it. We're gonna do the damn thing, and shout out in chat, Endless Cemetery, folks. Go give him a follow.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Man.
Just really quick, what time are you doing the Among Us stuff?
Let me double check the schedule. So Among Us should be around 10 tonight.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's
is 2200 10? Yeah.
Yeah.
Universal time in the thing so that if anyone was confused, but it just ended up confusing me.
Perfect.
Anyway, yeah, man, you go do your thing, and I'll hit you up, or
Likewise.
you can hit me up. I don't know if you'll have like stream up on your computer. Just,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I got a tab open for you, but yeah, good luck, man, and I'll see you soon.
Hell yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. All right, you all. It's getting hot in here, and I'm a little tired. Let me check chat. Read you guys' chats really quick. I'll get in touch with OG Prodigy, Mr. Braindead, for Posadabot. Yeah, you guys are in here cool. Let me just shout you guys out, just because I'm like hella late on these conversations, but shout out Mr. Braindead 1, shout out Magnus Xavier, shout out Real Wretched, shout out Cats, shout out Bink Princess, of course, shout out Roxy the Riveter, of course, and thanks for all the new follows. Shout out Lexi Bat, shout out Level Head, shout out Nikella, and yeah, I'm out for now. I'll catch you guys later today. Make sure to tune in tomorrow as well for the Mask Off panel on masculinity that I'll be doing with Critical Ace Theory, Seductive Seaweed, Boy Meets Minnie, and others at 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, thanks for watching, you all, and we're going to just raid into Gremloe here. I'll catch you guys later.